Trying to process the unthinkable. 8 people shot and killed in their home. The small southern Utah town releasing details tonight in an emotional press conference.
On January 4, 2023, police officers in the quiet town of Enoch, Utah, conducted a wellness check at the home of the Haight family. What they found was nothing short of horrifying. 8 family members brutally shot to death. The sheer brutality of the crime sent shockwaves through the small, tight-knit community, which had never witnessed anything of this scale before. Enoch, with just a few thousand residents, was not the kind of place where violent crimes happened, let alone one of this magnitude. Even more disturbing was the fact that the Haight family was well respected and known for their strong religious values.
We continue to follow the murder-suicide that left 3 adults and 5 children dead.
Their bodies were found inside an Enoch home yesterday.
They were seen as a model household, active in their church, deeply devoted to each other, and a pillar of family values. Yet beneath this seemingly perfect exterior, a nightmare had been unfolding for years, hidden behind closed doors. In most cases of familicide, the perpetrator is often the father, typically an educated, middle-aged professional with deep-seated psychological issues. Many of these tragedies follow a similar pattern, with major warning signs that are either ignored or go unnoticed by the community and even the authorities. The Haight Family Massacre was no different. It was an extreme culmination of years of abuse, manipulation, and unchecked violence. Today, we will unpack how these warning signs played a role in this tragedy and how they reflect a disturbing rise in similar crimes across America. The story of the Haight family is a chilling reminder that monsters do not always lurk in the shadows. They can exist in plain sight, hiding behind a carefully crafted image of respectability. The illusion of a perfect family. Michael Haight and Tasha Earle met at Southern Utah University, bonding instantly over their shared Christian values. On the surface, Michael seemed like the ideal partner, a devout man who had served a 2-year mission in Brazil for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a business graduate, and a promising insurance salesman. He was charming, driven, and deeply involved in his community. To Tasha, he represented everything she had dreamed of in a husband. They married on May 16, 2003, in Street George Temple, in what seemed to be a joyous beginning to a beautiful life together. The couple settled in Enoch, Utah, and quickly started a family. Their firstborn, Macy, was 17 years old at the time of the tragedy, followed by Briley, 12 years old, twins Sienna and Ammon, 7 years old, and Gavin, 4 years old. To outsiders, they were the epitome of the perfect American family, faithful churchgoers, well-mannered children, and a hard-working father providing for them. However, behind closed doors, Michael ruled his household with an iron grip, forcing his family to live under his increasingly tyrannical control. The tyrannical rule of Michael Haight. Michael took the role of patriarch to an extreme, demanding absolute obedience from his wife and children. Tasha, a deeply religious woman, embraced her role as a stay-at-home mother, devoting herself entirely to raising the children and upholding their faith. However, this also left her completely dependent on Michael, who used his financial control to manipulate and dominate every aspect of her life. Despite his high-paying job as a top-performing insurance agent at Allstate, Michael was obsessively frugal, restricting Tasha's spending to an extreme degree. He forced her to cut baby wipes in half before using them and wash out plastic bags to reuse them. While cost-cutting measures may seem reasonable in certain situations, Michael's actions weren't about saving money, they were about exerting control. The Haight's were not struggling financially, and Michael had received a large bonus in December 2022. Yet he gave Tasha only $500 to buy Christmas gifts for all 5 of their children. His abusive nature extended beyond money. Michael closely monitored Tasha's every move, going so far as to take away her phone and car keys to keep her isolated. When he bought her a new car in early 2022, he told the salesman that she would only be allowed to drive it if she earned the privilege. Even when Tasha briefly kicked him out of the house for his abusive behavior, he went through therapy only as a manipulation tactic. Once he returned, the cycle of control and violence resumed immediately. The horrors hidden behind closed doors. Michael's control over his wife was brutal, But his treatment of his children, especially his eldest daughter, Macy, was even worse. While most fathers cherish and protect their daughters, Michael seemed to take pleasure in causing Macy pain. Reports indicate that the physical abuse began in 2017, when Macy was just 11 years old. By 2020, it had escalated to terrifying levels. Michael violently choked her to the point where she believed she might die. Desperate to escape the abuse, Macy did what every responsible child is told to do. She reported her father to the police. However, the authorities failed her. Instead of taking action against Michael, the responding officer merely warned him that his behavior was very close to assaultive, but refused to file any charges. The police suggested Michael should consider anger management counseling, but nothing more. This lack of intervention embarrassed Michael, and the abuse only worsened. Over the next 2 years, Macy continued to report her father's violence. She told the Utah Division of Child and Family Services, DCFS, about incidents where Michael threw her headfirst into a couch and swerved his car violently while screaming at Tasha, causing the children to be left with red seatbelt marks from the force. Each time, her cries for help were dismissed or ignored. Even when DCFS agents visited the Haight home in December 2022, they failed to interview Michael and simply told Macy to call the police if she felt unsafe. Tasha's desperate attempt to escape. Despite enduring years of financial, emotional, and physical abuse, Tasha never stopped fighting for her family's safety. She secretly began saving money in hopes of escaping Michael's grip. In December 2022, she took the most crucial step toward freedom. She met with a divorce attorney to initiate separation. This was her moment of defiance, a move that Michael could not tolerate. Tasha also sought help from church leaders, hoping that they would intervene and support her case. However, they did nothing to help. Much like the police and child services, the LDS leadership ignored her complaints, leaving her to fend for herself. Despite everything, Tasha remained determined. She focused on self-care, lost weight, and got manicures, signs that she was preparing for a new life without Michael. But she never got the chance to leave. The final act of violence. On January 4, 2023, just weeks after Tasha filed for divorce, Michael decided that if he couldn't control his family, he would destroy it. In a calculated act of ultimate cruelty, he shot and killed all 7 members of his family before turning the gun on himself. The massacre sent shockwaves through Enoch and beyond, leaving the town grappling with how such a monstrous crime could happen in their seemingly peaceful community. The truth was that the signs had been there all along: the police reports, the child abuse allegations, the financial control, the physical violence, but no one had taken action. The Haight family had been suffering in silence, and when Tasha finally found the courage to escape, it was already too late. A devastating reflection of a larger crisis. The Haight Family Massacre is not an isolated incident. Familicide is on the rise across the United States, with many cases following the same terrifying pattern: a controlling patriarch who hides his abuse behind a mask of respectability, institutions that fail the victims, and a tragic, preventable loss of innocent lives. This story serves as a harrowing reminder that abuse can happen anywhere, even in the most outwardly perfect families. It highlights the urgent need for stronger intervention from law enforcement, child protective services, and community leaders. Most importantly, it reinforces the truth that monsters don't always lurk in the shadows. Sometimes they live among us, hiding in plain sight.